Hello and welcome to the Just Interesting podcast, the show that's not boring, it's not too interesting, it's just interesting enough. How's it going, guys? How are you, Robin?
Oh, I'm well, thank you, Alex. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Everything's the same.
Yeah, not much has changed. I'm going to break the first rule of conversation and make this a thrilling podcast opener by saying the weather is hot and I'm not liking it.
That's true. That is a bit different this week. The weather has picked up to, in British standards, this is volcano level.
It is warm, isn't it? It is warm.
Yeah.
I mean, I inflated a paddling pool yesterday. That's how warm it is.
Nice.
Not
Did
for
you
me.
have the paddling
Not for me.
pool beforehand, or did you just,
Yeah, we bought it like
you
last
just
week.
created it?
Bought it last week, and then of course it went grey and miserable
Yeah.
for the back end of last week. So this week,
Yeah.
already blown up.
Well, hopefully you'll get some use of that in the coming days.
Sounded very definitive there, Alex. Yes. Hopefully. yes, I hope we do. Stay indoors or in your paddling pools.
Stay alert, get a paddling pool, save the NHS.
That's it. That's all you need.
Three-part slogan.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But today, I'm not doing the government coronavirus report. I thought we could talk about, well, a number of things, but the main topic of discussion this week is kind of a question, as it is every week. What would you do if you found £1 million or dollars?
Ooh.
I mean, they're
And
two
I
different
think there's-
questions, but the exchange rate's pretty bad in the UK, so it's getting closer to being one or the other.
It's very close,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the question. And I think there's a news story to go with it. Am I right in thinking that?
Yes,
Martin?
there is.
Cool. So we're going to get into that discussion a little bit later. But in the meantime, what have you learnt this week?
Who's going first? Robin, do you want to go first?
Sure. Mine's probably the most inane thing, but this week I learned breaking news as of yesterday at the time of recording this, which is that Warner Brothers have confirmed that Zack Snyder's version of Justice League is going to be released, finally, on HBO Max in 2021. And
Wow.
as people know, I'm a bit of a Batman fan, so I'm excited to see.
Do you think the Snyder Cut is going to live up to expectations?
Well, as anybody who knows me is aware, I think Zack Snyder makes terrible films. So I am confident this will not be a good movie. However, has anybody seen Justice League by Joss Whedon and Zack Snyder that was released in 2017?
I can't say I have.
No, neither. Never
Well,
around for that one.
if you had suffered through that monstrosity, you would be aware that Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League is bound to be better than that. So I'm just happy because it's one of those things where I'm a big film nerd and I celebrate any opportunity filmmakers get to release their version of a movie that they've been making rather than the studio version. I mean, any big blockbuster is influenced by the studio, even the ones where the directors are happy with it. But I'm a big fan of the alternate cuts, kind of subculture of films that we have, and any lost footage that's found and released and deleted scenes. I love, as a film fan, being able to look at that and think about what could have been. And in this case, this is like the biggest what could have been ever.
On that point, Robin, did they re-release or have an extended cut of Batman vs Superman?
They did.
Did you watch that?
Yeah.
Did it fix it?
So here's the thing.
Because we saw that. Were you there, Alex? We went and saw. You were there too, right, Alex?
Yeah, we all went to.
Yeah.
I didn't watch Batman v Superman.
Okay, me and Robin, we went to an
No.
exclusive
we went to that
preview
screening.
in a hotel, didn't we?
Yeah.
Do you remember when there was the emotional moment with Batman and Superman, and they had the whole Martha moment, and everyone just laughed,
Yeah. As they should have done. It was ridiculous.
as they should have done.
So, yeah, have you seen the Ultimate Edition?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Have I seen the Ultimate Edition?
Yeah.
But no, of course not. That film was terrible.
You went to a screening of that film and then willingly sat down and watched another version of that
I
same
did.
film.
Half an hour longer.
I think this is definitive proof that you are in de facto robot, Robin,
I
because
have a
no
pro-
human would sit through that.
Oh, Zack Snyder has his fans. No, the Ultimate Edition's better. It's definitely better, but it still suffers from a fundamental problem in that it should have been something else entirely. But on the other hand, and this is why I'm excited about this news, I appreciate the world building that Zack Snyder was doing with the DCEU, and I have to admit, I've loved Wonder Woman. I really enjoyed Shazam. I liked Birds of Prey. I liked Aquaman. So the DC universe, I'm kind of a fan of now.
You're on board, yeah.
So I look forward to having something that hopefully will, be, at the very least, be consistent with the other DC movies. Because, as we discussed before on this podcast, Marvel, by comparison, have had a great triumph with keeping their movies consistent. So the Marvel Cinematic Universe is like a really great achievement in terms of having a consistent franchise that everything feels like it's part of a whole, for better or worse.
Once again, the Pizza Express without Prince Andrew.
Yes.
So my story is about penguin poop. Crazy,
Okay.
right? So apparently, Antarctic penguins release a crazy amount of laughing gas in their poop. Yeah. So if you want to go and get high, don't worry about those little silver canisters and filling up balloons. No. Go to the Antarctic and breathe in that fine, fresh penguin manure. So apparently, penguins, they release a crazy amount of this stuff in their poop, which is known as guano. So laughing gas, as you guys may or may not know, is nitrous oxide. They use it often in NO2. They use it in dentists, and when people go under as well, they often use laughing gas to also deaden the effects, to make people relaxed. It's a painkiller as well, right?
Have either of you ever had laughing gas?
No.
No, I don't think so.
Neither have I.
Let's get some for next podcast.
Let's do it.
Live on stream. Yeah, nice. So apparently they produce 100. This is a weird stat from this article, but apparently they produce 100 times more than a freshly fertilized Danish field.
Danish.
Wow.
Obviously,
Danish field.
Obviously, they tested a Danish field and then compared results with these penguins. I have no idea where that stat comes from. A Danish field. I don't know if there's anything specific about Danish fields, or they spread loads and loads of nitrous oxide on them.
It's also just super. It's just super not helpful. I have no reference for what that could mean. A Danish field.
A Danish field,
true.
Alex.
Yeah, Danish fields are known for being smaller than most other countries' fields, so it's not actually that impressive.
But basically, it's a shitload. It's a crazy amount.
See what you did there.
Yeah,
that
nice.
was clever.
And when the researchers went to Antarctica to study this penguin poop, apparently one researcher went completely cuckoo. So he was off his tits on nitrous oxide. So yeah, that's my fun fact of the week.
That is a fun fact.
Penguins in Antarctica produce a crazy amount of nitrous oxide. So if you want to go and get high, head out there.
Yet another valuable use for penguin poo. Well, this week I learned about a very mysterious castle in the Czech Republic. But before I tell you about it, I want to ask you, what is the purpose of a castle?
To defend the people inside?
To defend the people inside.
To
protect the people inside.
And look
to be
cool.
And to look cool. To be like it's a military fortress, right? It's a strategic
It's a stronghold
thing that was built. It's a stronghold, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting about Huska Castle, which is in the Czech Republic, Huska, is it's in the kind of middle of nowhere, not near any water, not strategically important. There's no roads or anything near it.
Okay.
Didn't have anyone living nearby. It just seems to be kind of randomly placed.
It's not on a hill.
It's not on a hill. It's kind of in a flat area.
Okay.
Okay.
And interestingly, legend has it was built around a very deep hole. There's a very deep well right in the center, and it's kind of the foot of the castle. And the formation of the castle is this kind of weird square, and there's nothing like to defend against the outside. There's no battlements. There's no arrow slits in the side of the walls to defend against attackers or anything. However, there is an inner courtyard with this well in there. And so legend has been passed down about this castle that it was actually meant to be keeping something inside.
Okay.
And actually, the well was allegedly a gate to hell.
Oh,
Well,
of course
hell.
it was.
Oh,
Okay.
there you go. Well to hell. Which is very interesting, I thought. And apparently, one of the legends says that prisoners who were sentenced to death were apparently offered a pardon if they consented to be lowered by rope into the hole and report back on what they saw. And apparently when the first person was lowered, they began screaming. And when they were pulled back to the surface, they looked like they had aged 60 years.
I mean,
Wow.
I don't believe that for 1 second. And there's no official record that happened.
You're
But
such
it's
a
an
skeptic,
interesting
Alex.
story.
You're such a skeptic.
this
isn't-
castle, I take it, is still standing, right?
It's still standing, and also they do kind of use this mystery surrounding it as a bit of a tourist attraction.
I can imagine.
It's allegedly haunted, and you can go on tours of it. I'm not promoting it, by the way.
Yeah,
And
link
there's
in
a-
the description
there's a-
for this one.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, I take it there were other water sources around the area. It wasn't just this well, right? Because you could think that someone could be protecting the well as
Just
a water
because,
source
yeah.
because water is such a precious resource, as it evidently is.
I mean, what's interesting about this area is there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of water sources nearby.
Okay.
Um,
Could be an explanation. Interesting how this legend. I mean, legends. It's interesting how legends pass down, right? There tends to be elements of truth in some form. Okay, like they called it the well of hell because people were lowered in there and drowned or something, right? And then it gets passed on as hell. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, but there's water. There's water at the bottom of the well.
Yeah, there is an official story for why the castle was built.
Forget it. Forget it.
You don't want to hear it?
No.
It's not that exciting.
No, go on.
So the reality is apparently that the castle was built as an administrative centre to oversee the management of royal estates. So this was built in the 13th century, probably on the orders of the Bohemian ruler Ottokar II.
Yeah, that's boring. That's quite boring, isn't it, compared to
It is a bit boring.
Well,
However,
how-
there is something interesting about this, and that's that the fortress was occupied during World War II by the Nazis, and there's other myths surrounding their supposed occult involvements going on there. But that is a story for another time.
No,
because I don't know it.
no, look it up. Bring that back to us because
Yeah.
that kind of thing's really interesting as well.
I think that could make a really interesting video.
So that's what I learned this week. How about weird news story? Oh, actually, before we move on to our weird news stories this week, we first wanted to say thank you to all of our Patreon supporters and let them know what we've recorded already that should be live over on Patreon right now. We had a discussion about Vladimir Putin and whether he will ever relinquish his power. So if you're interested in that and want to support us, head over to Patreon and sign up.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I mean, we were always amazed by how much support we get on our Patreon. It's never taken for granted, and we're very thankful for it. And we've also released some goals as well, which one of them includes bringing back a fairly familiar topic from old times. So if you want to at least just go over and see what that might be, then do. And if you fancy signing up, then great. If not, don't worry about it.
Huge thanks to all of you, yeah.
Is there anything else we want to say?
In terms of a bit of housekeeping, I guess, if people have a minute to rate us over on Apple Podcasts, then please do. It really does help us out.
Welcome.
That's fantastic. And of course, just keep engaging with us. We love it. If you're a patron, head over to our Discord. If you're not, comment down in the comments below this video. Let us know your thoughts because we love engaging with you.
Cool. Okay, so weird news stories of the week. What have you guys heard?
Martin?
Oh, am I going first this time?
Yeah.
Okie dokie. So this week I learnt about the story of a Chinese man who was abducted 32 years ago, and he was finally reunited with his parents, which is just insane.
Wow.
It's just absolutely insane. So he was abducted back in 1998. He was walking to his nursery with his dad, and he was taken by
That's horrible.
It's not actually discussed who exactly took him, but they sold him to an adoptive family. And apparently this is a bit of an issue in China, or has been in the past, of people kidnapping children and basically selling them. But yeah,
That's horrible.
he vanished all this long time ago. And his mother, Li Jingxi, quit her job and launched a decade-long search for her son. She flied everywhere and was looking for him for years and years and years, and never gave up. She went on into the media, she went on television, and really tried to find him for so many years. And they actually campaigned not just for their own son, but for various other families as well who had missing children. And the great thing about this particular story is not that she's found her son, their family's been reunited, but 29 other families who had their own missing children have been reunited too over the years, which is just
By her
and her efforts, which is just absolutely
incredible.
fantastic.
That's amazing.
And she said earlier this year that the fact that she's helped these other 29 families find their missing children has led her to believe that someday she would find her own son. And then she did this year, which is just incredible.
That's really nice.
That's incredible.
That's so well deserved.
It's amazing. And the way they found her is actually the Chinese authorities used facial recognition. So this, I mean, it's one good thing about living in a fairly authoritarian state, isn't it? Facial recognition technology to help with the search. They scan the pictures of the toddler to create a photo fit of the adult as he would be now, and managed to find a match in a big crowd of people.
That is
with
impressive.
television cameras, yeah.
That's impressive and also terrifying.
Yeah.
That's gone from a feel-good story to, wow, their facial recognition technology is advanced.
Yeah,
Yeah. I didn't know that was possible.
It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Like, for this story, it's incredible. For your own personal privacy, not so much. But then what would you expect?
At the same time, do I care if somebody can identify me based on a picture of me from when I was a child? Not really.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's more, if they can do this, what else can they do, right?
Yeah, I suppose. But yeah, that's a great
They'll
story.
use these
That's
powers
very
for
heartwarming.
good. Yeah. No, that is a lovely story. And yeah, so nice. Especially like with everything going on at the moment. There's some good news at least.
It's much needed good news, I think.
Yeah.
Was this before the COVID-19 hit, or was this after?
Well, when they were reunited?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was literally, it was like a couple of days ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Are they observing social distancing, or?
I mean, no, she's kissed him on the forehead in the picture, so definitely not.
Okay, well then.
Well, this week I kind of wanted to bring the mood down a little bit and talk about a huge plague that is ravaging the world right now. And no,
that is not what I wanted to hear.
I'm not talking about COVID-19.
Oh, you're tricksy man.
I'm talking about the locust plague. Yeah, it's a biblical prophecy is happening. And I haven't really seen this spoken about much, but it was really surprising when I saw this in the news this week. So locusts, in case you didn't realize, descended upon East Africa in January. And then the next month, a swarm blanketed a huge Kenyan lakeshore, transforming the ground into buzzing yellow fields. And this outbreak isn't nearly over, and it's getting worse. And now the UN says that this swarm of locusts could get 400 times bigger.
Oh my gosh.
And just to like quantify the size that this is, the locust swarm at the moment is around the size of New York or Paris.
400 times bigger than Paris.
400 times bigger is what the UN said that it could get to.
I can't even.
It's huge. Well, I think there's
That's
different
terrifying.
swarms. I think there's multiple swarms, but with them all together.
Yeah.
So apparently, a local official in Uganda said that just one swarm was spreading across 5 square kilometers. So much less, but that's just one swarm.
Yeah.
And this locust plague, so 40 million locusts are apparently eating the same amount of food every day as 3 million people. So they're just kind of decimating huge parts of Africa.
So they eat
and I think Ethiopia is the main one that's hit at the moment.
That's mad. So they eat roughly a tenth of a human. A tenth of what a human would eat, sorry.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it, in a day?
Mad.
Because it's about 200 tons a day, right? Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. They're eating a huge amount of food.
That's horrible because the starvation implications of that are absolutely terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are. I think it's at the moment Jasper. Okay, I can't pronounce his name. But a food security analyst.
Go on, Alex, give it a go.
Do it.
It's got a.
Go on, Alex.
Mwesigwa. Jasper Mwesigwa.
That sounds right.
Sounds good.
Mwesigwa, who's a food security analyst with a regional intergovernmental body, said that 25 million people in the 8 states that make up the group that are affected are currently struggling to feed themselves, and a further 5 million could be threatened by hunger if the locust invasion was not contained. And obviously with everything going on at the moment, they're really struggling to contain this because like with pesticides and
it's a perfect storm, isn't it?
It's kind of the perfect storm with coronavirus and this
that's horrible
season of locust plagues that I think this year is really bad.
I'm glad you mentioned pesticide, because my first question was, how can they contain that? What can they do? There's just a huge swarm of locusts. They're in the air. They're migrating across the land. How can you contain that?
Do locusts go to higher altitude? Is that right? Is that right? And then kind of the swarm naturally stops. But
I'm not sure.
It's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, you've got to ask the question, like with the pandemic going and the coronavirus and of course locust swarms. I mean, how many more do we need until we're looking at biblical proportion? It's
mad.
It's just mad, isn't it? The world we live in at the moment.
And this is apparently the biggest outbreak in over 70 years. And the World Bank has just approved $500 million to help fight against this plague. So that's how serious this issue is.
Yeah.
Well, they had a similar plague in Africa in the early noughties, didn't they? 2003 to 2006, I think. And that did $4.5 billion worth of damage to crop farming. So,
and just as an estimate, the World Bank's estimating that this region could suffer $8.5 billion of damage. So just to show how the scale of this one compared to that one. And that's just this year alone.
They will show it in dollars, but the human impact of this will be enormous. Won't it be unfathomable if people aren't able to eat food, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Be mass starvation. It's really serious. I mean, one thing you said, Alex, was that this year was much, much worse than other years. So I imagine that locusts are a seasonal occurrence then, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they do happen on a seasonal basis, but for whatever reason, I think with coronavirus being one factor and the usual kind of measures that are put in place to kind of quell this invasion, if you like, just haven't been able to be put in place this year. But I don't know if it's something that's happening with the climate as well that's making them like this.
But it's also, like you said, it's also biblical, right? That's the point of the Egyptian plague, in that it was extraordinary, even for the standards of locusts at the time. And as we just mentioned, they had one nearly 2 decades ago. They had a similar swarm problem. Sounds like this one's worse. So it seems like every few years, I guess, or every couple of decades, there's a particularly bad one.
Yeah.
And of course, the cost of that in human suffering is unimaginable to me, anyway. I hope we can. I hope Western countries like ours and charities, if I can find them, are able to do something for these people despite the COVID-19 crisis, limiting what we can do.
That's the issue, isn't it? I mean, charities have suffered massively as a result of COVID-19 and coronavirus at the moment, haven't they? Like, donations across the board tend to be down. Like, any physical shops and fundraisers have been called off as a result. So as I say, it adds to this perfect storm of events, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So
Well,
that's my pretty
thank you,
depressing
Alex.
news story.
Yeah.
Just when things,
Things were looking
are they
up.
looking up from
Yeah.
coronavirus? Meh.
Uh,
Locust plague. Boom. And then what's going to come after that? Who knows?
Well, my news this week is random compared to that.
Okay.
But while many things have stopped during the current crisis, one thing hasn't stopped: science. Some scientists have carried out a study into dinosaurs.
Ooh,
And-
okay.
Okay. They've watched Jurassic Park.
They've watched it I'm not.
They
I'm
didn't
not sure
understand the
that's 100%
message.
accurate, guys. I think we should do something about this. No, that's not what's going
T-Rexes,
on.
what was it? Velociraptors are actually the size of chickens.
I never thought about this before, but dinosaurs obviously had genders. How can you tell the different genders apart?
Good question. Enlighten us.
Apparently, they think T-Rex females had wider hips,
Makes
which
sense.
kind of makes a certain amount of sense.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But they also suspect that maybe with T-Rexes, the females were bigger in general.
Okay.
But a
I
study...
don't want to be an idiot, but
Yeah.
did the male T-Rexes had a PP, right?
Well, here you go. A new study has pointed out that by studying gharials, crocodiles, and the endangered species, they're still alive and they know what males and females have that set them apart. What they call sexual dimorphism, I think, in animals. The same way like male birds tend to be bright and colourful, and other species have obvious things that set the females apart from the males. But
Right.
the study into these gharials, who have been around for a very long time as crocodiles, they've been around since dinosaur times, pointed out that the only way to tell the males from the females is from a bit of soft tissue growth on the furthermost part of the snout, basically. Males have this little extra bit of tissue, like a big nose, essentially. But it's soft tissue, so it rots away. If you look at their skeletons, it's really hard to tell them apart. So this study has just demonstrated that actually the very few dinosaur fossils that we have from all species of dinosaurs, it is virtually impossible to tell which are male and which are female, because we obviously don't have any living specimens to know for sure which ones were male and which were female.
See.
So even this thing where they say, oh, T-Rex females have wider hips, it's a bit of speculation because I don't actually know if the ones with the wider hips
Are male
were
or
the
female.
females.
Interesting. Interesting. They can
Oh,
they can
dear.
only. I mean, I guess if there's two kind of data samples of narrower hips, wider hips, and they're very very distinctive, you can make a more of an assumption, right? For instance, if you looked at a male and female human, you could tell based on if you just looked at the hips, you could say, okay, all of the male. I don't know. If there's a big enough distinction between the two, then you can make inferences,
Yeah,
but you can't tell for sure.
exactly. I mean, there are other ways of telling. They've got a rough idea for most species, but this is just a funny study by Queen Mary University of London, which is just to say, by the way, guys, you can't be sure of anything.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to lie, Robin. When you mentioned dinosaurs and scientists and them doing a study, I thought it was going to go to a Jurassic Park place.
They're
And
bringing them
I'm
back.
pretty bummed.
I'm sorry.
I'm pretty bummed out.
I'm very sorry to disappoint you.
Alex, after seeing like 6 Jurassic Park films where it inevitably goes wrong every time, you're bummed
time,
out that they're not recreating Jurassic Park for a 7th time.
I mean,
in real
surely
life.
that's where 2020's heading, right? Dinosaurs
It's the
come
only
back.
thing missing. The only thing missing is a Jurassic Park real life scenario.
Yeah, that's surely that's got to happen. It's going to happen at some point. Surely they'll find out how. And I want to see a dinosaur by the time by the end of my life. I want to see a living dinosaur,
There we go.
Wow.
We can always dream.
or at least a woolly mammoth. Give me that at least.
You know, it might happen.
They're always
doing
always
it, aren't
talking
they?
about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Shall we get on to the main topic of discussion for this week?
Let's.
So, the question that we want to discuss this week is, what would you do if you found $1 million? Or are we doing it in our currency, £1 million?
I mean,
Either or.
either works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
$1 million of your local currency.
I mean, that's not great
Well.
if it's like yen. So this comes from a news story that I found while looking for news stories from the week, and a family in Virginia, I believe, they found close to $1 million in cash in the middle of the road.
In the middle of the road?
Middle of the road. So they were driving along the road in this particular place, and this family called the Shantz family, they swerved out of the way of what appeared to be a bag of trash in the middle of the road. And so instead of leaving it in the road, they stopped, they picked it up, and they threw it in the back of their truck. And they saw another bag in a ditch, and they were like, being good citizens, picking up the trash, making sure that it's not just lying around in the road. But then, of course, they opened it up, they investigated, and they found close to $1 million in cash in the middle of the road.
Wow.
That's
In the middle of the road.
Middle of the road. Madness, right? So they don't know where it's come from. They do not know where this bag has come from. But, $1 million in plastic bags, I mean...
Sounds
This sounds-
You don't have to
This
derive
sounds
too
like
much. Yeah.
It sounds like a very clever marketing campaign to try and get people to pick up rubbish off the side of the road.
Yeah.
Because you
I
never
thought you
know.
were going to say it
There
sounds
might be
like
£1 million.
a crime drama where the mafia bosses are going to come round just like, where's my money?
Well, I mean, that as well, in fairness. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what, how did this end up there? Is there any kind of leads or anything where this money came from?
The sheriff's department from this area, they investigated, and they turned it over to the United States Postal Service, which is looking into the matter of where this cash came from.
Postal service?
Yeah, the Postal Service. Interesting, right?
Do they regularly
that is interesting.
deliver bags of $1 million? Is that a thing they do?
I mean, I wouldn't have thought so, but it was the money was addressed to a cash vault.
Right.
So they're thinking maybe it was being delivered somewhere. So
Fell off the back of a truck.
Yeah, literally. I mean, it's crazy, right? So they don't exactly know where this money was meant to go. But this family basically turned the money into the police, who then decided what to do with it. And that brought me onto the question of what would you do if you found this money in the middle of the road? And then I guess the more fun generic thing of what would you do with $1 million is also fun to answer.
Yeah.
So yeah, where do you want to start with that?
Well, here's the question, right? What do you do, genuine question, when you find a penny in the street?
You mean
When I find a penny in the street, I probably don't pick it up.
I don't pick
to
up
be
a
honest.
penny?
Okay. So what amount of money do you start picking it up? 5p? 10p? 20p?
Probably 20.
20p. Okay.
Yeah, I'd say so. 20p.
Are you penny
I'd
robbing? Do
live-
you have a big penny jar?
I don't have a big penny jar because if I do find cash in the street, I do tend to pick it up, but I tend to give it to the nearest charity box or homeless person if I find them.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a difference between finding a £1 and finding a £10 note.
Yes.
Definitely,
I mean, it's a few years ago now when I was maybe about 10 years old. We were walking down the high street, me and my family and my brother and my brother's friend. And my brother and his friend were play fighting. They were like pushing each other around in the street. And we went down like this alleyway to get to our car. And my
Sounds
brother
dodgy.
literally pushed his friend over onto a £50 note.
Wow.
That's
And
amazing.
which £50 note, you don't see 50s that often in the UK. Like £50
Yeah,
notes,
exactly.
people don't really. Some shops don't even accept them because they're worried about them being counterfeit. Like you don't see this kind of thing. So a £50 note was pretty rare. And my brother's friend, I think he went to the police and said, I found this, and I can't remember exactly. I think he ended up getting it actually. But a £50 note, and his main thought was, okay, go to the police, good citizen, see if anyone's lost this, because it was behind like some restaurants, so it could have been someone doing the cash from the restaurant, right? But no one claimed it, so I think he got to keep it. But that's £50. £1 million is kind of different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think someone might come forward and claim that £1 million.
Yeah, you think. I mean, it sounds like maybe it was just a bank, though, right? If it was being delivered to a vault, it might have just been a standard bank transfer, in which case, if they lose money like that, they've probably got insurance. So they'll claim the insurance, they'll get the money. So that £1 million is suddenly kind of essentially out of circulation.
So you're taking it then, Robin?
You're stealing it from insurance companies. No one's going to
Everyone hates insurance companies.
Yeah,
no one likes
it's what
the
they're supposed
business.
to do. They're supposed to do this thing. So
yeah. And to be honest, it serves them right. They dropped it out of the back of a truck.
It seems
£1
like
million. $1 million. What? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's mad. How are you supposed to not take that and hide it for years until all suspicion has been cleared and then start slowly seeding it into your bank account? How are you not supposed to do that in this situation?
Look at it another way. You don't hand it into the police. Instead, you donate it to charity. But you keep maybe $10,000 for yourself because, $990,000 is still quite a lot of money to be given to charity.
So
I think if you go to a charity with a bin bag full of cash,
$990,000 in cash,
they're going to wonder where you got that from and then probably turn it into the police.
they're definitely going to call the police straight away.
So good one, Robin. The insurers have got their money back. So try harder to give it to charity.
Robin, what you have to do is you've got to go to 198 different charities with $5,000 in cash each.
There you go. Sorted.
It would take a bit of time, but worth it.
But that's not wrong, is it? That's a perfectly good thing to do with that money.
Potentially. I mean, that could have been someone's. There could have been someone who was specifically wanting to give it to another charity, Robin, and it was being transferred, and now they've lost all of it in cash.
But if you hadn't found it and given it to charities, then it wouldn't have gone to charity anyway because it was lost. And that's not your fault.
True, but it might have been that person's last dying wish to give close to $1 million to that particular charity.
But you'll never know that. You
Of course.
You can't act on unknown information.
I mean, let's say you found less money. Let's say you found $50,000 in the street. I mean, the likelihood is that is either from a bank or more likely a cash drop for some kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
What do you do with that? Do you turn into the authorities? Do you keep some of it? Because let me tell you, if a drug dealer's after you, I've seen Ozark, if a drug dealer's after you for some money, it doesn't matter whether it's $5,000 or $50,000. They're still going to cut off your fingers.
Do you know what? This sounds bad. I know. I'd be more inclined to turn in $50,000 to the police than I would to $1 million. $1 million is life-changing money.
That is.
$50,000 is life-changing, but also it's not worth me losing my life to a drug dealer. $1 million, I might consider it.
But Alex, you've got to think about the other side of this, and it's that drug dealer. If they lose $50,000, that might be small change to them. If they lose $1 million,
might be a lot.
They're definitely more likely to come after you, even though I've just said that they're going to come after you regardless.
True, but they also dropped $1 million in a bin bag on the side of the road, so it couldn't have been that important to them. Otherwise, you'd protect it a bit better, surely. Let's look at the options here.
Yeah.
For how $1 million ends up in the middle of the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
One, it's either an illicit deal, or something like drug dealers or whatever,
or someone's just robbed a bank.
Mm-hmm.
Or someone's just robbed a bank. It's illicit money.
Yeah.
Or
two.
Yeah.
Or it's a bank or something.
Okay.
That's dropped it. They're delivering it to a vault and they've dropped it, and for some reason the money was stored in a bin bag. Or the family were up to some shady deals and they conveniently found this money at the side of the road while picking up rubbish. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. We found $1 million. Yeah.
So I think those are the most like.
There's one more.
Okay.
It could be a Mr. Beast YouTube video giveaway.
Yeah.
This could all just be a Mr. Beast video. Yeah.
All for that YouTube dollar.
$1 million for a YouTube dollar.
$1 million.
$1 million.
I need to have 1 trillion views in order to make my money back.
Either way, out of those scenarios, unless anyone else can think of any other ones, I don't think there's anything wrong with taking that money.
You've got it. What do you do with it? How do you? I mean, you have to siphon it through legitimate businesses, right?
So the first thing I would do is bury it somewhere, not close to my house,
No, Alex.
out like that no one would know about. I would keep it better protected than a bin bag, put it in something, that is going to hold it for the time being. Maybe leave it for a couple of years before retrieving it.
You're going to lose it. You're going to lose it that way.
Don't bury it.
Don't bury it.
Don't bury it. Hide it in the walls, Alex. Hide it in the walls.
Archaeologists, metal detectorists are still finding hoards of gold and silver that were buried by people running away from Vikings. That was nearly 1,500 years ago, Alex.
But there's a chance that the bills might be traced if it belongs to a bank, and you don't want to the police to come knocking for it.
Oh, sure, yeah, just don't bury it.
Where do you put it then? Where do you hide it?
In a beehive.
In a beehive. One, I'm assuming $1 million in cash is quite a bit bigger than your average beehive.
This is a good point.
If it's in $100 notes though, because this was two big sacks of money on the in the pictures.
Yeah,
but you could go to one of those banks which have those kind of deposit ATMs where you just feed the money into it and it puts it into your account.
You're going to take 2 big bags of cash into a bank.
So you could take one wad at a time,
Right. Okay.
I think they still might ask questions if your standard income's a couple of thousand a month, and then suddenly you're inputting $1 million.
Yeah, you need a cash front business.
Yeah.
To start. You've
got to be laundering. You've got to be laundering
in the next couple of years, and slowly feed it in.
Okay. If you're going to have a legitimate business,
I'm gonna stop saying stuff right now because I realise I'm giving just advice on money laundering.
Too much information away. Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask Alex and Robin, if you were going to launder money, what kind of legitimate front would you choose?
Martin's furiously taking notes.
What would you go for? What would your ideal business be? It doesn't.
A blood testing company that promises blood tests.
Testing company
from minimal blood from finger pricks. And instantaneous results.
And it's cash only.
Cash only, baby. Yeah.
I think the police will visit before they get any suspicion of money laundering.
Yeah, they would.
No, that was for the benefit of Alex Jones if he's listening.
Yeah, but it's a good question because you don't want a huge amount of footfall, I guess, or maybe you do. You want it to be as unsuspicious as possible.
It's true.
Go under the radar.
Yeah, and legitimately be able to cover how much you're actually inputting. If it's a cafe, it's like my cafe's not making $1 million, is it?
I would make my own barbers, but be closed for, most of the day.
Yeah,
8 hours a day. And anyone who does, and I just have a terrible haircut. So anyone who does come in immediately walks out.
Oh, no, I'm not doing that.
And you price up your haircuts as like $500 and $1,000, and you you market it as for extremely rich people. Done.
Yeah.
There we go.
If you think it looks bad, then you don't get it.
Alternatively, you could do a really high-end, fancy dry cleaners.
So you're literally laundering.
Laundering. Nice.
So obvious they'll never see through it. This all reminds me of that ethical dilemma. Was it like the $1 million button? Do you remember that? Which is where if you knew that all you had to do was press a button and you get $1 million for every time you press the button, but every time you press the button, a random person in the world would die. Would you do it?
No.
Okay.
No.
I feel compelled to say no.
You can say yes if you like, Alex, but I wouldn't do it. No.
What if it was $1 billion?
No, I genuinely don't think I would.
It doesn't matter. Like the monetary value does not matter on that.
Okay, what if a random person for $1 million just gets put into a coma for a month?
For a month? Yeah, go on then. No, to be fair,
when they wake up,
someone's very different to
put them in a coma.
When they wake up, and I'll just be like, "Congratulations, you were out for a month, but you earned $100,000, so well done."
Okay. The same thing. The same thing is, would you run someone over and not know if they survived or not for $1 million?
Can I run them over at 5 miles per hour?
No.
Oh, loophole. I like it.
I also wonder with those like hypotheticals, what happens? Who gives you the money, and how do you explain that money?
Yeah.
It's like, I made my money the old-fashioned way, pushing a button and a random person died.
It's the bloke out of Saw He just pops up in his little chair,
just
his
gives
little
you-
puppet,
There you
bag
go.
of money.
Well done.
He gives you
Yeah.
a bin bag full of $1 million, which was delivered that day.
Yes, in the middle of the street.
But today he doesn't have the money because it fell out the back of the truck.
Okay, so another question then. Just taking away all the kind of moral dilemmas, whatever, you have $1 million and it's okay. What do you do with it?
Okay, so there's no moral quandary. You've just got the
No,
money.
just what would you do with the $1 million? If you had that money, what would you do? Overnight, you just get it in your bank account.
I mean, most of it would have to go to charity, right?
Oh, Robin, you're too nice a person to have this discussion with. How much would you give to charity?
I don't know, at least 90%.
Oh, high tax around that.
Well, yeah, I suppose. I don't know. I haven't really thought about
To be
the
fair,
tax, the tax side of things.
you're picking up off the street, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no,
it-
for charities, that's quite tax efficient, isn't it? Because a lot of charities don't get tax.
Is it though? Okay. Well, yeah.
It's
there you go.
not a bad thing to do with the money. Yeah, I think I'd help those around me first, who I directly cared about, making sure everyone was secure and safe, and getting rid of any kind of monetary anxiety.
Yes.
And then give some to charity. I think I'd carry on fairly normally, to be honest. I don't think I wouldn't make any crazy changes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think it's enough to really live on for the rest of your life or anything mad like that, is it?
Yeah, I mean, you go, I'm going to buy a house in
I'm
central
sure you
London.
could,
It's like,
but-
no, you're not.
Yeah.
No
I
way,
mean, I'm
yeah.
sure you could, but you'd still have to live fairly modestly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you put that in certain investments, you'd be fine living off it.
That's true. Yes.
I'd probably pay off mine and my girlfriend's student finance and then call it a day.
That's done. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. You got any more?
I mean, I might be
Money for me?
selfish. If I could budget it correctly, I might set aside a certain amount to make a film. That would be fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, a low budget indie movie, not a big thing.
Blowing the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you'd release the Robin cut later on after Joss Whedon inexplicably ruins your film.
I think there's got to be one purchase that's like crazy outlandish, like I don't know, a golden bed for my cat. Why not? Have it.
That would cost so much.
I know.
That would cost so much.
You wouldn't be able to lift it either, would you?
If you spend
Golden
that money
plated
on a
bed for my
golden
cat.
bed for your cat, you don't deserve that money, Martin.
I think if you're picking up gold, you're picking up money off the street, $1 million. You haven't deserved it anyway.
True.
The
But
complication.
the cat's not even going to sleep in that bed.
No.
It's going to choose
No,
the
cats
cardboard
never
box
sleep in
that
a
sat
cat bed.
next to it. I think I'd fund us to do something mad. Take us to Bermuda and to make a long series on the Bermuda
Alex,
Triangle.
that'd be
that's
so
so
cool.
kind. That'd be very
That'd be
cool.
so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's something crazy like that would be really fun.
that would be
Yeah.
fun.
I definitely buy like my dream drum kit and stuff like that,
Ooh.
and make sure and I actually buy like a house with a soundproof room to be able to play it in as well.
Well,
Wow.
I think we learned a lot about each other in that discussion. Would you guys like a quiz?
Oh yes, please.
Love a quiz. Is there a prize?
I've got these two bin liners.
That'll do.
Okay, guys, so welcome to this week's quiz. There's no particular theme to this week. It's just the general knowledge. If there is a theme, it's that I'm sick of quizzes because I'm doing loads of them in lockdown with family and friends. I don't know about you guys.
It's been a fair
So-
few.
A lot of these questions are ones that have come up in quizzes in the last few weeks, so you might have had the same questions. I don't know. Same rules: 10 questions plus a bonus question.
Thank you.
Let's hear your buzzers.
Okay, so my buzzer is. Aha!
Absolute classic.
Partridge.
I don't think you even needed to tell me that was you, Martin. I just would have known that was you.
So often used.
Yeah.
My
Robin.
buzzer is.
Is that Anakin from Revenge
That
of the
is
Sith?
Anakin from episode 3.
Nice.
Question 1. How many former UK prime ministers are still alive? And for bonus points, can you name them? But it's not actually bonus points. It's just 1 point.
How many still alive, do you say?
Oh yeah, Robin, go for it.
How many still alive? I'm going to say 3. Oh no, 5.
I'm going to say. Is it closest wins?
I've forgotten how many
Is it
prime ministers
closest
we've had in
wins?
the last few years.
Yeah, go on. Let's have closest wins.
I'm going to say 6.
Martin gets the point. It's
Yeah.
5.
5. Okay.
Yeah.
5 former prime ministers are still alive. So there's Theresa May, David Cameron,
Yeah.
Gordon
Yeah.
Brown, Tony Blair, and John Major.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's
My brain stopped at Tony Blair. I just kind of forgot the last 10 years.
1-0 to Martin. Question 2. Which country has won the most Eurovision Song Contests? Robin.
Ireland.
It is Ireland, yeah.
Well done.
How
Yes.
did you know that? Or was that a guess?
Thanks to Father Ted, I knew that in the 90s Ireland had won a bunch. So
Oh, no
that was
way.
kind of
Oh,
an
wow.
informed guess. Yeah.
Father
Very
Ted.
good.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've won 7 Eurovision Song Contests. Apparently.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Was that on this week Eurovision?
Kind of,
Last
wasn't it? It was. They showed the songs, but you couldn't really vote on it or anything.
Martin, your tweet
Martin, was
really
Julian Assange on?
yeah, that
Eurovision?
really confused me.
It wasn't him. It was someone who looked like
Who
him.
was it?
Looks so
I
much
know,
like
it's
him.
He
like
looked like
doppelganger, right?
identical. Yeah.
Yeah. It's mad.
That guy was Irish as well. I don't know who he is, but
Okay, question 3. Albert Finney, Peter Ustinov, and Kenneth Branagh have all played which fictional detective? Robin.
Hercule
Poirot.
Poirot.
It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
Poirot. Yes.
it's too late onto that one. I love Poirot.
Yeah, I used to love those.
Yeah.
Watching those growing up.
I've never seen Poirot.
What?
I've never seen it at all.
I'm angry.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
angry
impressive.
now.
You'd recommend it then?
I
good
like
lock
Poirot.
test.
It's
Yeah.
easy. It's easy
Yeah.
for a detective mystery. It's just good.
It's just good. Leave it at that. So 2-1 to Robin as we go on to question 4. Black, Whooper, and Buick are all types of which animal?
Whooper,
Whooper,
and Buick.
Black, Whooper, and Buick are all
I thought
types
Buick
of
was a car.
which animal? Yeah. Robin?
Bird.
Oh, sorry. You've got to be more specific than that.
Oh, come on.
Okay.
You gotta give me the actual animal.
Okay.
Okay, Martin.
I'm going to go for eagle.
It is not an eagle.
Good choice, though.
So black, Whooper, and Buick.
Buick.
That's so weird.
Would you like a clue?
I'd
Go
love
on
a
then.
clue.
So this might make it fingers and buzzers. I don't know.
Okay.
There was a film in recent years with that might be a good clue to this because it's got the name of the animal and one of these types in the name as well. It calls the animal by this name, and it's a pretty popular film from recent years. Martin.
A panther.
It's not a panther. But
Oh, what? It
It's not a
isn't?
panther, but that was a good guess. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought that clue would limit
Oh,
it
actually,
to this animal, but
I've got a thought. Okay. I'll let you have a guess, Robin, then I've got a thought.
I don't know. Mamba.
it's not mamba. No. Martin, did you want to guess?
Was
or
it
you-
species, actually, wasn't it? No, is there any other clues?
Okay, I can give you another detail about this
Yeah,
film
go
that
on.
came
Yeah.
out. It stars Natalie Portman.
Oh.
Martin.
Swan.
It's Black Swan. Yes.
Right.
But yeah, Swan
Swan.
is the
Whooper
animal.
Swan and a
Buick
Buick
Swan. Oh, Buick, actually, that rings a bell. Buick.
Well, there's the
Buick
car,
Swan.
isn't there?
Not
Is
making
it
it up.
Ford? Is it a Ford Buick?
I think so. Yeah.
Someone let
Buick
us know in the comments,
LeSabre
please.
or something. I think it's spelled differently. So maybe
Oh,
I
it's spelled
pronou-
differently. Oh,
So maybe I pronounced it wrong.
Buick is the car. I think.
Yeah, this is Bewick.
Oh, right.
Buick.
different words
Buick.
then.
Anyway,
Eric.
so it's 2-2 as we go into question 5.
Whoa.
Tension.
Question 5. Who founded Twitter in March 2006? Martin, did you buzz?
Yeah, but I can't remember his name.
So would you like to retract your buzz? Actually, no,
I'll
you
retract my
can't.
buzz.
You
I'll retract
can't.
my buzz.
You can't
No, he's
retract
gotta
your
guess.
buzz. You got to have a guess.
No, I can't remember.
Go,
I can't
guess.
remember for the life of me.
I
How's his name?
don't know.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because everyone remembers Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
But-
And Bezos.
What's his name?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I can't remember. This is bad.
Do you want me to give you this one? There's no real way for
Yeah,
me to.
yeah.
Or so I tell you his first name, and then if you get the second
Just
name,
say
if
it because it doesn't
springs in there. It's
Yeah.
Jack Dorsey.
Jack Dorsey, because he recently gave
yeah.
what was it, $1 billion
Yeah.
dollars or half of his net wealth, or something crazy to the coronavirus or research into it.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jack Dorsey.
Well, good for him if he did that. That's great.
Yeah,
Well,
Jack
it's
Dorsey.
2-2 as we go on to question 6, and I thought I'd throw this one in. Which set piece play is used in rugby union that does not feature in rugby league?
Oh, he's... Oh.
Martin.
There's two.
Okay, give me one of them.
Line out.
Line out is the one that I
Yeah.
had. What's the other one? Just out of interest.
Scrum's the other one,
Scrums
isn't it?
are
Yeah.
used, but they're not contested scrums. They're
That's-
uncontested. So it's not
Yeah,
the same,
not the
but
same.
it's the same. It's called
Yeah.
the same, but it's not.
Well, you get the point. Well done. 3-2. To Martin. Question 7. What were the names of Bruce Wayne's parents? Robin.
Tom or Thomas and Martha.
That is correct.
Martha.
Yes. So I gave those two.
That's very kind.
Those two
Yeah,
questions.
okay, Martin the rugby one.
Yeah.
And me a Batman one.
I knew Martha, but I wouldn't have got the dad's name.
Well, you got
Martha,
Martin.
yeah.
You've got to learn these things now that we've become a Batman channel.
That's it. Yeah,
Since Robin's breakout successful video.
it's true.
So that is what's that now? 4-3 to Martin.
3-3, I think.
No, 3-3. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
3-3. Question 8. Which brand was launched in 1921 with the tagline durability, reliability, and excellence?
1921.
Martin.
Ford.
It was not Ford.
That was my guess too.
I think Ford was a bit
Later.
was that a bit
A
early.
bit earlier, when they first.
Was it
Oh,
earlier?
I was thinking earlier. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Durability, reliability,
Durability.
excellence.
Mm.
And they're still around today.
Well, that's a clue.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Oh, well,
sorry.
fair enough.
I mean, it's a recognizable. I wouldn't have said something that wasn't recognizable.
It does feel
I'll
like it does feel like a car, doesn't it? Reliability.
It feels like a car, yeah.
Alex, clue,
Durability,
is it a car?
Reliability.
It's not a car.
It's not a car,
It's not a
okay.
car manufacturer.
I'll give us more of a clue.
Do you want a bit more of a clue?
Yeah.
So the first word of this tagline is a bit of a clue. Martin.
Duracell.
Not Duracell. Robin.
Durex.
It is Durex. Yes.
Excellence.
Oh, actually, so DU, durability, RE,
yeah.
reliability, EX, excellent. Is that where that comes from?
Yeah, that's right, isn't it?
Wow, that's clever.
It's clever.
Yeah,
it's clever,
I definitely noticed that when I wrote the question.
It's clever, but excellence. You describe as excellence. Condom is
I mean,
excellent.
You gotta. If it works, it's excellent, I suppose.
Excellent, yeah. I guess so.
Excellence.
Durability, reliability. Yeah, didn't know that.
Excellence. How was your experience?
Oh, excellent, thanks. Yours, durable.
It's interesting how you both thought of it like it was a car manufacturer.
Yeah.
Durability, reliability, excellence.
It's so-
and
it's
it's a condom brand.
Yeah.
Prophylactic motors. We'll get you and your family, if you want them, where you want to go.
Okay, so
Okay.
that is 4-3 to Robin,
4-3,
I
yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
Question 9.
9 shit.
Which country's flag is the only flag not to contain red, white, or blue? The only flag. Martin.
The only flag in the world.
Yep.
Jamaica.
Oh, yeah, it is. Wow.
Nice. Black,
Nicely
yellow,
done.
And
Black, yellow, and
Green.
green.
yeah, fast work, Martin.
Thank
That's
you.
great. Huh.
You know your flags.
That is amazing that there's not more. You think with some of the flags that are just two colours, they would at least contain one of those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And wow, we are at 4-all as we go on to question 10.
This is tight.
I don't like this.
Here we go. Question 10. Who was the US president during World War One? Martin.
Woodrow Wilson.
It was Woodrow Wilson. I'm sorry if you buzzed at the same time, Robin.
That's fair enough.
I
You
heard
called Martin.
Martin's.
It's fine. Yeah, well done. Well played. Well
I think
done.
it's the first time I've beaten you this series, Robin. And by this
think
series,
it
I mean
is.
since we started Just Interesting.
Started just interesting. It might be. Yeah.
Oof.
Well done.
Nicely
I'm
done.
slipping down.
And now you're back into joint second place with me, I think, Martin. Which, yeah. But it's fine as long as we can stop Robin's winning streak. That's all I care about.
I think
It's
you've
your winning
thoroughly
streak
stopped
now,
it
Alex.
You've-
It's your winning streak.
Yeah, you're the one we've got to stop. So Martin, next time we've got to stop him.
It's you doing the quiz, mate. You decide the
and
questions.
still put me into last place.
I think so. Is that right?
Would you like the bonus question?
Oh yeah.
It's a bit random, this one, but it's closest wins. How many times does the word blood appear in Shakespeare's Macbeth?
Closest wins, I take it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, closest wins.
Okay, I'll go first.
Oh, this is a trick question.
522.
Oh, wow, that's excessive.
Well done. You've just given him a clue now.
522 words.
Yeah.
I think I'll go with one.
Well, it was 42 times, which I thought was
All right.
interestingly quite a lot of times. I'm just imagining a version of Macbeth, and it's like
Blood.
That-
God, bring you start
that
place.
bit-
blood.
Blood.
exactly that
And shit and piss.
and bits and bits of
And
sick.
bits of sick, yeah. For anyone who doesn't get the reference, you have no idea what we're talking about right now. But hey, God,
Yeah.
bring you start place.
Dark place, dark
Dark
place,
place,
dark
dark
place,
place.
dark place.
That's really great.
Oh, so good.
Cool. Well, that was my quiz. Well done, Martin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. That was a
No,
great
thanks.
quiz.
Good quiz.
And everyone listening at home, if you can comment on a platform that allows you to comment, please tell us your score.
Do you know your rugby union? Did you get that question?
No one knows rugby union. Apart from me.
But thank you. And really thought-provoking topics today and good news items. So thanks for that, guys.
Yeah, awesome.
You're welcome, Robin. Yeah, no, thanks, guys. And if you did want to see us discuss even more of this, if you haven't gotten sick of us already, there's a little bit more interesting, which is over on the Patreon, where we're discussing Vladimir Putin. So if you want to click through and go onto that, then feel free.
Take
Thanks
care,
very
everyone.
much, guys. I'll see you next week. And yeah, take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.